Sometimes life can feel like this, trying to get where we're going, stopping, going, roadblocks, frustrations, and just rushing everywhere we go. And it seems like everybody is headed in the same direction that you are, but who's going to get to the finish line first? Today, we're going to talk about what I've learned about myself in my 50s. When we reach my age, I'm in my upper 50s. We tend to think that we have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge that we can share with others. And that is true to a certain extent. But I have learned so much in my 50s that I wish I would have known when I was younger. And I'm going to share some of those things with you today. And many of those things are things that I've learned about myself just since I've retired, just in the preparation to retirement, and having time to reflect and actually sit down and look at some of my life and learn who I am again now that I'm an empty nester. And so I'm going to share some of those with you today, and I hope that they're helpful. If you are new to my channel, I'm Bonita from Pennies to Dollars. I'm an early retiree and I am enjoying life more than ever. I loved life when I had kids at home. I could never picture my life without my kids. I had 6 of them and they were my reason for getting up in the morning. My calendar was built around all of their activities and I totally focused on my kids. And then as they started moving out, I started wondering, what is my life going to look like without my children? Who am I without my children? They have been my basis for everything I've done my entire life since I was late teens. So this, I think, is something that a lot of people fall into. And I must share with you some of the things that I've learned that have enriched my life as an empty nester in my 50s. So I have 10 things that I'm going to share with you. And maybe you already know some of these or have learned some of these things about yourself or about life in general, but maybe you'll hear a couple and sit back and think, yeah, that's really the way it is. Why didn't I think of that? And that's how I felt when some of these realizations came to me. The first one is I used to feel kind of alone. I felt like I was just trudging through life. I was rushing. I was frustrated. I was overwhelmed. There was red tape. There were lines. There were setbacks that just kept me in this constant frenzy. And then in my 50s, I'm looking around, seeing these young families in the grocery store going through what I went through, and I thought, this is something everyone experiences. But at the time you're going through it, it feels like it's just you, and all you can focus on is the next thing because you are so overwhelmed just trying to keep up with everything. And that's something that I've learned. Our feelings and our frustrations are not so different from person to person. The second thing that I've learned in my 50s is how adaptable I can be. I can be fine sleeping in my car overnight on a road trip, as I shared. I can be fine having some setbacks here and there that I have to recover from because I've learned a confidence in myself to know that I will recover from those setbacks. Financial setbacks, I think they hit everybody at some point. And I am going to do a video about some financial setbacks that I've experienced just in this month. But as we go forward, there are so many things that I have found I'm adaptable to. I am adaptable to figuring out how I can get through this situation or that situation. I can get along with almost anybody in every walk of life. And I really enjoy meeting people in other walks of life because I feel like that builds my character in learning all of these different people exist and what they're going through. And it builds my empathy in dealing with other people that are not going through or living the life that I have had. And I love the fact that I can start trusting myself to be adaptable in any situation and know that I can get through it. The third thing is I have learned what a free spirit I actually am. I always thought I was kind of an introvert, that I was kind of boring, that I really didn't have anything that anybody would be interested in hearing me say, that I would be scared to venture out on my own and do things. And I have ventured out and done things on my own in my 50s that I could have never imagined in my first 40 years of life. I have a daughter who's a free spirit, and we kind of joke about her being a free spirit. And now that I'm in my 50s, I look at that and I think maybe she got a few of those qualities from me that I never knew were there to begin with. And now I can appreciate so much more her free spirit because I know what that feels like to have that ability to just feel like you can tackle anything and nothing is going to stand in your path. The fourth thing that I've learned is things are not as hard as we make them out to be. Many times we will be faced with something and we'll feel like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But if we just take a step back and evaluate the situation and look at the options, there's always options. They may not be options we like, but there's always options. And then choose from the best one that fits whatever we're going through and fits with our lifestyle. We will see that things are not always as hard as they appear to be. I remind myself of that often now. When something comes up, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do about this? And I remind myself things are not always as hard as they appear to be. Just take some time, think it through, look at your options, and pick the best one. The fifth thing is I have truly realized and bought into that anything is possible. If you would have told me that I was going to have a YouTube channel back in my 20s, I would have said, what is YouTube? If you would have told me this in my 40s, I would have said, what is YouTube? And here I am on YouTube sharing my thoughts, my feelings, my daily life with a whole bunch of new friends that have enriched my life. So anything is possible. And I have gone through this with some friends who have maybe lost their jobs and they're feeling totally devastated. And I always try to tell them, this is your chance to do anything you want to do. Don't look at it as a setback. Look at it as a new beginning. Look at it as I now can explore anything that's interested me, anything that my heart has thought, wow, that would really be fun. And you're not tied into the stereotype of whatever job you've been holding. So I truly believe that no matter where we are and what age we are, anything is possible. The sixth thing I have learned, which to me was just life changing, is that instinct and fear are different. Sometimes it's hard to follow our instinct, and sometimes it is just fear that is telling us to do something or not do something. But if we can learn to differentiate between the two, they are two totally different things. So if we have the instinct that we're in danger, we need to follow that for sure, right on. But if it is a fear that we carry with us in everything that we do and everywhere that we go, then we also need to take a look at that and say, what is causing this fear? Am I really in danger? So, instinct and fear are so different. They keep us from doing things that might be a really good thing for us and might build our future, but they also help us make those decisions. That instinct is so important. And learning to trust that instinct and tell the difference is a huge game changer. Number 6, I have learned to trust my decisions. There was a time where I had trouble making decisions. I could look at all the options. I couldn't make a decision. I needed other people to help me make decisions. Do I change jobs? What do I do about this? And I have learned now that I just need to analyze it, pick a decision, trust that decision, and go with it. Don't look back. Don't question, wow, I shouldn't have done that, or what if I hadn't have done that? The decision's already been made. Make the best of it, go forward. I always was very wishy-washy when it came to some of those things. I even went to the extent of making pros and cons lists when I thought about changing jobs just to see if it really was a good idea. I tried to weight those decisions. I tried to count how many pros versus how many cons. And I was so scared of making a decision. And now I know to trust my decisions because I know whichever decision I make, I will figure it out. I figured it out for 58 years and I will figure it out again. The eighth thing that I've learned is that I've never needed much to be happy. And as we go through life and we want to build our wealth and build our belongings and improve our quality of living and maybe upgrade our cars, I have now realized that I never needed much to be happy. What I really needed was time. What I really needed was freedom. And what I really needed was nature. Those things help me so much. And they're things that I really rely on now as an empty nester. I used to rely on my kids to build my happiness and keep me motivated, and they did. And that was a good thing to put my kids first. But now that they're grown and they don't need me, I have to learn to rely on things that will motivate me and keep me going. And I've realized through the things that make me the happiest that I've never needed that much to be happy. It was in me all along. The ninth thing is I learned that I was a people pleaser. And by being a people pleaser, it was very difficult for me to ever please myself. I was so worried about making other people happy, cooking what they wanted, doing the events or going to the things that they wanted me to be at. And a lot of those things took away from my happiness. I was a caregiver for many years. That drained me. I was a caregiver in my profession, and sometimes that drained me as well. Healthcare is a very draining position. It's also a very self rewarding position. But there were times that I spent so much time planning the residents' parties, making sure everybody had gifts, making sure that I had employee parties planned, and door prizes and all of these things that I put my own household after all of those events would take place. And then I would be rushing, trying to get my own household in order before the holidays and not fully enjoying all of that. And all of those things were important, but I should have let others help me more than I did. But by being a people pleaser, I felt that I needed to make sure everything was perfect for everyone's experience. And I realized through all of this in my 50s that I don't need to be the one to fix everything. I can let it be, and many times it will work itself out without me controlling every aspect of that to try to make sure everybody's experience is stellar. And the 10th thing that I learned that is probably the most important is life can be cheap. It absolutely can. It's our experiences that make it rich. It's the things that we love that can make it rich. It doesn't need to have dollars tied to everything for us to have a quality of life. Life can be cheap. Those experiences are what makes it rich. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if any of these 10 areas resonated with you. I would love to hear your comments. And thank you all for watching so much. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope that you will join me in the future. Have a great day.